What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, so we're working hard on the Beyond the Apex community. It's going to be launching very, very soon. But one of the whole structure of this program is around first designing you as the entrepreneur so that you can become a 7-8 figure entrepreneur, which in turn allows you to build a business. Because the truth is, there is no such thing as a business problem. There is simply a you problem. Think about that. Any problem that you have within your business is simply a reflection of a skill that you lack. Don't have enough help, don't have enough talent, don't have great enough talent. That's a problem that you have as a recruiter, as a trainer, as a retainer of talent, right? Maybe you have not enough customers coming in. That's a weakness of you not knowing how to market, how to lead gen, how to bring people in, right? So every single business that we actually have, every business problem is simply a reflection of the problem, the limitation of the entrepreneur. So this is the first thing that we need to build out in the course of building out a successful business, is building out you. And this is why I believe entrepreneurship is the world's greatest personal development program. More so than any other reason, this is why I encourage people to go and build businesses. It's because I know the transformative effect it can have on you, the individual. Now, the very first level that we have to work on is the foundational skills of the founder. Those are the skills, the habits, the routines, the beliefs, the traits of the founder of the business entrepreneur first. That's where we have to start. And one of the very first layers, the very first brick that we have to put onto the ground to start building our wall or our skyscraper upon is the brick of beliefs that you as an entrepreneur have. And so in today's episode, what I want to talk with you about is 5 limiting beliefs that I see majority of entrepreneurs struggling with. Now, the thing that you have to understand about beliefs is that there's only 2 types of beliefs. You either have empowering beliefs, the types of beliefs that move you forward towards your goals regardless of whether or not they're true, or you have limiting beliefs, the types of beliefs that hold you back from achieving your goals regardless of whether or not they're true. And here's the important thing about beliefs is it doesn't really even matter if they're true or not, objectively speaking, right? Because we know logically that there are plenty of limiting beliefs we hold about ourselves that are simply not true. Doesn't stop the fact that we hold them though. If we were to analyze them under the cold, unfeeling light of day and ask ourselves, is this objectively a fact or a truth? We would say, no, that is a limiting belief that I have, that it does not bear resemblance to reality. And the opposite of this is true. We have empowering beliefs, those beliefs that we can choose to adopt, the ones that move us towards our goals, regardless of the fact that objectively they might not be true. Because at the end of the day, I believe 2 things. Number 1, any belief held with sufficient conviction can be made true. So you gotta be really careful about what you choose to believe. Number 2, whether or not a belief is objectively real in the moment does not matter to you, because whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. Okay, so that's the first thing that we really need to get through our heads. Okay, so with that said, here are 5 of the limiting beliefs that may or may not be true, but a lot of entrepreneurs choose to adopt these, and they are limiting your growth as a result. Number 1, nobody can do this as well as me. This is one of the beliefs that holds people back from hiring, is because they're like, nobody else will care about this. They don't put the same time and energy. They don't have the same skill that I have. Here's the truth, is that you are not that great. You might have some very specific domain, particular information, expertise. You might have gotten very good at what you do, and you might be the best at that particular thing, but holistically in the game of business, you're not the best at everything. There are people out there who are so many levels above where you are that it staggers the mind to even consider. And so the key is you either go find those people who are better than you, or you find people who have the potential and then you train them to get to where you are, and then they go above and beyond on their own, right? Now, here's the other side of this, is regardless of whether or not you can in fact find people who are better at this thing than you, right? This limiting belief that nobody can do this as well as me. The truth is, getting somebody else to do the job for you at 80% of your potential is better than you spending 100% of your time doing the thing. 80% is really good. And you don't need to be the best, you just need to be good enough. Now that means good enough in the marketplace, good enough for consumer expectations, right? Good enough does not mean that you are just phoning it in and you're being lazy. You are hitting the standard, but you don't need to go so far and above and beyond that to be the absolute best. Anywho, let's put that aside. Let's go to number 2. Second limiting belief is that I can't afford this. This is again, when it comes to hiring, when it comes to software technology, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to overhead, it's very easy to convince ourselves we're not ready to make that investment. But the truth is, there's only 2 types of costs in this game of business. You either have opportunity costs or you have monetary costs. The monetary costs tend to be very easy to see on a spreadsheet. You can calculate them out and you can say, okay, this is exactly how many dollars this is going to cost me. But it's harder to calculate what is the missed opportunity cost of not pursuing this thing, of not bringing in that talent, of not implementing this new system or process, right? That is harder to quantify, and so what ends up happening is we overvalue the monetary expense at the expense at the expense of the opportunity. When the reality is, if you were really to look at it, what you would find is that opportunity costs of not pursuing, not putting that team member, of not investing into their growth, of not putting into place that technology or that resource or whatever it is, right? That missed opportunity cost is costing you far, far more than the monetary. So I would challenge you, if you say I can't afford this, to reframe that, is to ask yourself, how can I afford not to do this? Can you really afford not to do this? I would challenge you to answer that question in the majority of situations with the response of, no, I can't afford not to. I need to go forward and do this. I need to make it happen. Remember, you don't lack for resources, you lack for resourcefulness. Number 3, we need more products. We need more things to sell. We have all these customers. We should create a new product, a back-end offer, a front-end offer. We need to have all these other widgets, these upsells, these little widgets that we can put at the checkout counter that gets people to buy and increase the lifetime value of our customers. This leads to so much operational complexity that often, as we start stacking more and more products into the equation, that's not the reason we're not growing. In fact, the more products and services that you're offering, you're becoming a victim of what I call the tyranny of choice, which is that your customer has too many choices, they can't make a decision, and so they're defaulting to maybe not the absolute best solution that you would push them towards, maybe the one that has the highest margins, the best rate of delivery, the best customer satisfaction, right? They're just going with a decision, not necessarily the best, because they're just overwhelmed by too many. Also, when you have too many products, thinking the way to grow once you hit this glass ceiling, thinking, oh, I just need to introduce more products, it's just putting more operational drag on the team. It's dividing focus, it's dividing operational prowess, and in the process, your expenses are growing. What you would find is it's better to run fat margins, having a lot of cash flow coming off of fewer products, rather than having a bigger business with thinner margins that are just coming off of a whole cornucopia of products. So this is a very limiting belief that I see a lot of times, which is, oh, we've maximized the opportunity available to us in the marketplace with this one option, this one product, and so the only way for us to grow now is to add more products in. I would challenge you, until you are reaching the low 8 figures, so unless you're doing around 10 million a year in revenue, you're probably not actually tapping the potential of your current products in the marketplace. Focus your time and energy on that rather than trying to put out more products. Anywho, number 4, I don't have enough time. Listen, you have plenty of time. Time isn't your limiting factor. Your focus is your limiting factor. Where are you applying it? You might have this feeling that you don't have enough time to get everything done because you have too many products, right? That could just be one example. If you were to narrow it down and focus just on doing less but better, you would discover, oh, I have more time. I have plenty of time. I have all the time in the world. It's just a matter of where are you allocating it, and are you allocating it to the highest leverage activities possible? Often as entrepreneurs, we're getting sucked into low leverage activities, those $10 an hour tasks that would be better outsourced but instead of that, because we can delude ourselves into thinking I can't afford an assistant, I can't afford that hire, we do the work ourselves. And now we have no time. And we're like, I don't have the time. It's because you have these 2 limiting beliefs that are stacking and cycling on top of each other. It becomes like this negative reinforcing cycle. So you got to break that by acknowledging there is enough time. Time is not the resource I lack here. It's focus, it's prioritization, it's delegation, right? Anywho, let's move to number 5. The limiting belief that I'm not a math person, or I'm not a finance person, I'm not a sales person, I'm not a social media person. These are all limiting beliefs at the end of the day that the entrepreneur, if you want to be successful, if you want to build to 7, 8, 9 figures, you can't afford to buy into. You might be able to say, I'm not a math person yet. I'm not a finance person yet. I don't love sales yet. But these are skills that your business requires of you to scale and to grow and to become the best version of yourself as you can be. So you can't afford to buy into this idea that I don't do that. That's not my job. I'm not good at that. And the way I see this playing out so often for entrepreneurs is they convince themselves, I'm not that type of a person. I'm not the internet guy. And so they go and they hire the person who does seem like they're the internet person, and they abdicate responsibility. And they say, oh, you know what you're doing over here. Good luck, Godspeed. And that is a very good way to make sure that your business craters, is to put all your trust into somebody that you don't actually have an ability to hold them accountable because you don't understand what's happening there. You don't need to master these things, but you need to understand them well enough to be able to coach and to hold people accountable to results. You can't do that unless you overcome this limiting belief that I'm not that type of a person. The simple word here, I think that needs to be in every entrepreneur's lexicon, is simply the word yet. I'm not that person yet, but I will become that. I know how to learn. I know how to acquire those skills. That is the one belief from which every other belief can be built upon, which is the belief that I have the ability to find the answer, to find the way, to do this thing. If you just buy into one belief, let that be the one. That'll get you pretty damn far. So that's going to do it for me, guys and gals. I appreciate you as always. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you want to learn more about growing businesses, if you're an entrepreneur, you're doing 5, 6 figures, you want to go to 7, 8 figures and beyond, then go check out beyondtheapex.com. You can register for our community, for the trainings, for the coaching, all that jazz. It's great. If you're a good fit, we'll reach out, and that's gonna do it for me, guys. Otherwise, keep tuning in. If that's not your cup of tea, no worries. We put out tons of free content for you. Just keep consuming it, keep applying it, and you will get to where you're trying to go to, I promise. So I will catch you guys in the next episode. Until then, stay hyper-focused, my friends.